You're listening to Flush Your Fat for Good with Jackie and Dr. Vicky, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hi, everybody. This is Jackie Paget Baird.
And I'm Dr. Vicky Arcady.
And we have our lifestyle for a lifetime called Flush Your Fat for Good. We want to thank so many of you for participating in helping us to support my son. Many of you know what has happened, but we had a tragedy in the last couple of weeks, actually since New Year's Eve. And somebody lit a firework up into the sky and it malfunctioned, and it was like 15 feet away and it came right into his face. And
whose face?
Tucker's face.
Her son.
Yeah. And it was a horrifying experience down on the beaches of Mexico in Playas Tijuana. And he was there with his fiancée, who he just asked to marry him. And then they spent the next 4 hours driving around trying to find a hospital with a doctor that could help him. Nobody could help him. Finally, he was driven by some police to the Los Angeles hospital in Tijuana, but you need 30,000 pesos to get in, and so we sent him, which is equivalent to $1,500. And when he walked in, they said they couldn't help him. And at that point, they said, let's just drive him to the border. And when they did, the Border Patrol was able to step up to the plate and take care of him, call for an ambulance, and have the ambulance take him to Scripps Mercy Hospital. They were amazing in helping us to get all the specialists that we could to try to save his eye. And in the end, we were not able to save his eye, which has been very devastating for him and our family. But he is home resting, and I just want you to see the GoFundMe site. Should you be able to give some prayers for support and peace and comfort, to be able to send him a message or some support. He's lost his job. He's not going to be able to work his job, and it's going to take a while for him to get back up on his feet. And he's a good-looking kid. You know, he's 27 years old. He's a graduate of CSUN in kinesiology. He is a surfer, pretty darn good. A lifeguard,
swimming teacher,
yeah. And
very good teacher.
He teaches autistic kids swimming, and he loves to travel. And he travels with his dog Casey, who's one of the loves of his life, because now he's engaged. So I don't know. I don't want to put the dog before the girl, but he does love that dog. So we just want to thank you all for participating and helping support his GoFundMe page. It says Fireworks Harmed Tucker Blue Paget. That's not misspelled. It is he was named after the car Tucker, and the color of the first car was blue, but it was the French blue, so it's BLEU Paget. And we thank you all very much, especially for those prayers of keep those prayers coming.
Yes, those are the most important.
It really brings to mind the stress that we've been through, because Dr. Vicky is his Aunt Yaya, and she was there. She helped deliver him, and so she has been in his life, his whole life. And when we got the word New Year's Eve, when he called me, I thought he was saying, "Hey, Mom, Happy New Year's." And I said, "Happy New Year, honey." And he said, "No, Mom, I'm in trouble." And it started then. It was like 5 minutes after midnight. Mm-hmm. So we have been driving from the San Fernando Valley, Los Angeles, all the way down to San Diego every single day.
Back and forth.
3 hours each time, so it was 6 hours of driving and staying with him till late at night, and until we were able to determine that his eye did have to be removed. And then a couple of days later, we were able to discharge him, and so he's home. But when we were talking today, what we wanted to share with you, we never skipped a beat as far as how to feed ourselves, how to, were we in a hurry, just grab a pizza, or no, just
Ice
give
cream.
me, ice cream or
Chocolate,
French fries,
donuts.
and let's go into McDonald's. Let's do this. Wherever we were, even the hospital food down in the cafeteria, we were able to stay on track with the flush your fat for good lifestyle. So when people say, well, I was just so stressed out, I couldn't do it, I was so hungry, I just had to grab the pizza that was there. No, you don't. And we took food with us. That's what we teach, the 5 Ps. Proper planning prevents poor performance. And that's because I didn't want to do anything to make me nauseous or sick or, destroy my digestive system while I was under tremendous stress in the beginning. And the great thing was, and I think we heard this from one of our buddies, Kimberly. Kimberly, what's your last name? Darn it. But they had a death in the family. I think it was her son-in-law. And the one thing she mentioned was that she had control over her life with the flush your fat for good lifestyle. And that means that at least while you're going through hell, you're not going to make yourself nauseous, bloated, constipated, or sick. It's bad enough of the fear and anguish that you're going through under any circumstances.
And we also had the support of our buddies in our room.
Unbelievable.
Flush Your Fat for Good Buddies private Facebook room. And we had the support of everyone in there, which helped a lot. I mean, we were, when we were sitting there trying to comfort him in the hospital room, and, it was comforting just to read some comments and some prayers and just the good wishes. And, that's the purpose of our lifestyle and that room is to support you. So if you're having a stress, you're having difficulty, you're having something traumatic happen, you can go in that room and everybody's going to be there to hold you up.
Yeah, a lot of people were leaving incredible messages for Tucker on the GoFundMe site. Mm-hmm. And we would read it to him even though he couldn't see. We would just say, Tucker, check this out. And it would bring tears to his eyes. He goes, God, so many people are praying for me. Mm-hmm. And they donated because they knew just a little here and a little there really is going to be able to help him find his way. So we just can't thank you enough. I mean, I just can't thank you all enough. But because I just brought up the fact that the subject matter is under so much stress, do you have to eat poorly? And so Did You Know That segment by Dr. Vicky, guess what the title is?
Stress and eating.
There you go.
Let me cough.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Being in a hospital is dangerous to your own health.
So
she got a little cold.
I hope I don't go into a coughing jag here, which usually happens when you're...
But you brought your cran
When
flush.
you're giving a presentation or something.
I even forgot my cran flush. I'm famous.
Let me take a sip before I get going.
That's the one thing. When you got to wash your hands, put the Purell on there, everything when you get into the hospital. It's tricky.
Stress and eating has been a subject that has been studied. And when you crave rich foods during stress, it can be unrelenting. And there is a mind-brain-body connection between that, causing you to crave.
What?
The fatty, sugary foods.
Okay.
So in this article, it was talking about how about the author was saying, remember that deep dive into the peanut butter in the months after 9/11. Everybody was completely stressed. Or, how about craving chocolate? And you do crave rich foods when the stress is horrible. And the reason for that is because, like I said, there's a body-brain connection. There's a new, this article is from 2003, but it holds true today. I think it was updated on 2016. But there's a body-brain relationship and partnership that they call a atypical depression that occurs with stress. And it's a variant where sufferers eat and sleep excessively and gain weight. In contrast to the garden variety depression, which they call it in this article, marked by anxiety, loss of appetite, insomnia, and weight loss.
Really?
Those,
Yeah,
for
I've
me,
seen that. Yeah.
when I have a serious stress, you can't keep the weight on me. My gut goes to hell in a
Yeah,
handbasket.
I don't feel like eating when I'm
No.
stressed. But I have to make myself.
So they're saying, antidepressants, that could be why you gain weight on them, because it's more of an atypical depression. So we seek chocolate, ice cream, Napoleons, all these candy, and the scientists have discovered that not just because they taste good, it's the body's attempt to put a brake on the runaway machinery of chronic stress.
Wow. Wait, say that again, please.
Okay, let me continue.
Okay.
The body, it turns out, has a lot of natural wisdom in its operations. It wasn't designed to cope with eternal stress, nor sub-zero freezers or food shops on every corner. Here's how the system works, the stress system. Say you're driving on the freeway and the car cuts out in front of you, swerves in it, and you prevent a disaster. Sometime afterward, you're having, your heart is racing, you're frazzled, you're jumpy, and you feel like your heart is going to just jump out of your chest. When you experience sudden danger, your brain instantly signals your body to turn out a hormone called cortisol. We've all heard cortisol.
Yeah.
It, in turn, relays the message throughout the body to mobilize you for a life-saving response. Your heart races. You become highly attentive and alert, even vigilant. Blood vessels constrict and divert the flow of blood from the gut to your limbs. You're in a sympathetic fight or flight, running from the bear in the forest kind of situation where you don't need the blood in your gut. You need them in your limbs.
In your limbs.
Which, there goes digestion, right?
Right.
Because it's gone. Okay.
Right.
But such emergencies don't last forever. Your stress response system has built into the capacity to turn itself off. So the stress hormone cortisol acts as its own shut-off signal. When it reaches the brain, it commands the brain to cease the body's function of the hormone.
Wow.
Or production of the hormone.
It's amazing, really.
Chronic stress, completely different story.
Really?
Reports a team of researchers from the University of California at San Francisco. The system does not turn off.
Uh-oh.
As the situations that give rise to stress endure, they keep ramping up production of cortisol. You go into an inner code red, they call it, marked by anxiety, vigilance, hyper-alertness. Depression is one consequence of chronic stress. Now, we see this in our overfat buddies who start with us, but it also relates to the hormones. But this time it has to do with insulin and other things that upsets the hormonal system. So one can see how if cortisol is out of whack, produced by the adrenal glands, that it can turn the whole system up topsy-turvy. At the same time, other nodes of long-term stress circuit are activated in chronic stress. One of them directs you to search for extremely pleasurable food. Excuse me. Notably high energy bundles of fat and sugar, of course, like cream puffs, chocolate bars,
ice cream.
They become the comfort foods in every sense of the word. Left to its own devices, the long-term anxiety set off by the chronic stress will deplete your energy reserves.
Yeah.
You become exhausted. You wouldn't survive very long. But fat and sugar-laden foods help your body to build up reserves and stay in the game of life. So what does that do? It puts fat on you, right? We're putting fat on.
Right.
One of the functions of the stress hormones is to move the energy around, says Norman Piccararo, PhD, a postdoctoral fellow at the San Francisco University of California team. The escalating levels of cortisol released in this chronic stress ushers the excess calories straight to the abdomen,
Oh my God.
where they
belly
get
fat.
deposited as fat. You guys are going to die when
There's
you hear
your
this.
belly fat.
You're going to die when you hear this. By virtue of its location, abdominal fat has privileged access to the liver. It allows it to be quickly mobilized for energy. So the body puts the cortisol, with the cortisol, the body will put the fat in the gut, in the belly, so that it can quickly get to the liver to give you more energy, because otherwise you're going to be exhausted.
Right.
And what if you have to do something in survival, a survival mechanism, or get away from something? You would have to, for example, in the wilderness or something, you'd have to have an ability to mobilize fat.
Right.
Here's the mark of the body's brilliance. Those fat deposits are absolutely crucial. They send out the metabolic signal that feeds back to the brain to tell it to shut off the stress response. Those who eat the cream puffs and the chocolate are trying to give the body what needs to dampen output from their stress system, Pecoraro says. Eating seems to ameliorate some of the symptoms of depression, so you won't feel as anxious. This seems to be the body's way of telling the brain, it's okay, you can relax, you can refuel with high energy foods, more like junk food. But anyhow, the catch is consumption of these rich calorie, junk, sugary, fat foods make us feel better and may, for the moment, but it's really bad for long-term health.
Right.
Dr. Pecoraro says. The stresses we face today are not like the eat or be eaten stresses we faced when our bodies evolved. Nowadays, we're up to things like job insecurity, romantic rejection, your phone, you lost your phone for a day. The stress goes on, and we feel immobilized by it. The energy reserves do not get dramatically used up. And there's a pizza place on every corner. There's ice cream. You can go to the 7-Eleven and get whatever you want there. Nachos, pizza, but it's not going to help you. You're going to keep gaining weight around your abdomen, period. The abdominal obesity will put you at risk, as we all know, for diabetes, heart disease, and especially in men, the risk for dementia into Alzheimer's with the fat there. So the discovery of the metabolic signal from the fat source is the result of this woman. Her name's Mary Dahlman, PhD, 30 years of research. And she did details with rats. She found these findings with rats, but she says they absolutely pertain to humans. And this was reported in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. So what they seem to solve is the problem of atypical depression. So this tells you the difference between atypical and typical depression, and it sets off the fact that chronic stress will be the defensive alerting system, and atypical depression may be the attempt to self-medicate with food, but the chronic stress is where you're going to really see deleterious effects. And so he says there is one way out, or there is a way out. There are other ways to shut off chronic stress. Exercise, pillar number 7. Yoga, meditation, hot baths, and sex. Thank God.
Why is that last?
They all listen to this. They all stimulate the same pleasure centers in the brain that make us seek comfort food. So if you're craving chocolate, go have sex. Okay. Relaxation techniques may work even earlier in the process. So if you can, there are articles that say if you're feeling stressed out, go take a walk in the nature and try to relax, get moving out, distract your mind, and get back in your body. And this is one of the ways to relieve the psychological stress that happens and prevent you from going that far. In the short term, if you're chronically stressed, it might be worth eating and sleeping a little more to calm down, perhaps at the expense of gaining a few pounds. But it's going to, the long-term solution is not the comfort food. The long-term solution is to find ways to relieve your stress and do it at the first sign of it, okay? And just so you know, I have another study here. That I'm not going to go through all of it, but there's another study here that talked about, it's from Minerva Endocrinology, and this was in September 2013. It's called Stress and Eating Behaviors, and they go through the whole thing. It's I'm going to submit it on the website if anybody wants to read it. But there's also a pathway in the brain. It's called the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis.
Wow.
That is responsible for the cortisol from stress. I mean, stress can be, let me find a word.
Hypothalamic adrenal.
Pituitary
adrenal.
Here's the definition of stress. The term stress refers to processes involving perception, appraisal, and response to noxious events or stimuli. Stress experiences can be emotional, interpersonal conflict, loss of loved ones, unemployment, or physiological. Food deprivation is a stress.
Yeah.
Illness, drug withdrawal states. Acute stress activates adaptive responses, and prolonged stress leads to wear and tear on the regulatory systems. So stress is a challenge to our homeostasis in any way, shape, or form.
Stress kills.
Stress kills. It's the silent killer, they
Right.
call it. But also, let me just tell you one thing in here that they reported that I thought was terrific, and I want to read it to you. Let me just read this. Rats that were stressed for 5 consecutive days following a 5-day diet chose lard and sucrose over regular food.
Wow. Wait.
So they were deprived of food for 5 days.
5 days.
And 5 days they were given food. They were given choices of lard and sucrose or sugar or regular rat food. They chose the lard.
But they knew that they had to, it's the mechanism that has to put the reserves on to survive.
Okay, so wait. Here's the deal. They call restrained eating those people that don't succumb. They don't succumb to those cravings, right? They don't want to, like us, what we did. We didn't go after all the pizza. Believe me, it looked good. We wanted to, trust me, but we know better. We know that in the long term is not going to work.
The hospital had those big, huge pizzas all laid out in the cafeteria.
Yes. So they say here in the study, people who maintained rigid rules around their food. Flush your fat for good. We have the rules.
We'll be talking about this a little bit later.
Appear less attentive to the physiological cues of hunger and satiety that leads to an overeating or preload, which means you're preloading before you're hungry, okay? And so in other words, it prevents binging too. It says later and later binging. It prevents the binging. So if you have rules, if you have the existence of rules that you live by in your lifestyle, and you adhere to those no matter what, like we just said, like we did, and you try to prepare your foods in advance. You're stressed out of your gourd, but you still try to do what you can. I made my hard-boiled eggs. I did what I had to do. We brought our
Jackie's chicken salad.
Super lean protein powder. Super lean aminos.
Yogurt, nuts.
And we were able to feel good. We didn't get bloated. We didn't have digestive issues, which is very weird. Okay, here's the last thing I'm going to say, and you can take this home. So if you don't want to do a restrained food protocol and use what you know. Okay. Here's a study. And it was done in October 14th, 2016. And this was where the title is Researchers Sure Know How to Take the Comfort Out of Comfort Food.
Mm.
It seems that experiencing one or more stressful events the day prior to eating just one single high-fat meal,
Okay.
the kind we're most likely to indulge when we're frazzled, slows the body's metabolism so much that women in this study could potentially experience an 11-pound weight gain
Oh my.
over the course of a
God.
year, according to a new study published in the Journal of Biological Psychiatry. And this was done with 58 healthy women, and they showed that they followed them, and they showed that they would gain on an average of 11 pounds just by, pigging out, binging on these foods, these comfort foods. So you don't want to do it. Christmas with your relative, Thanksgiving, Christmas with your relatives, Hanukkah, New Year's. I mean, these can all be stressful events when you meet up with your family, and they start triggering you. But if you adhere to what you know and your plan and your lifestyle and try to do the best you can, yes, you may mess up on the holiday or during stress, but just if you trip, keep moving and go to the next thing. And this can explain why we have a learning curve with our lifestyle, because you're dealing with the brain and a pathway that's automatic. And if you go with the cravings, and also in that study here, they talked about how the hospitals, the clinics, the psychiatrists, psychologists, and the practitioners do not include food addiction enough as the valid reason for people to not adhere to a program. And addiction is the big problem, and that's what gets people in our lifestyle in the beginning. It's that addiction in the brain. But you can create a new pathway, and you can change the health of that hypothalamic pituitary adrenal pathway.
Well, even when we ran out of food, because we had to be there a lot longer than we thought when we were driving from LA down to San Diego, we would eat on the way down there. We'd get there, but then we'd have to stay there a lot longer, and we'd maybe be out of food. So we went down into the cafeteria. But when you know the rules, when you know what's right for you, when you know the 8 pillars of Flush Your Fat for Good, which to begin with, we get everybody on, food combining and low glycemic eating. Well, I was stuck with looking at not very good choices, but I had to eat something because I was like starting to feel that, I'm going to faint kind of thing.
And
I didn't want to leave him, so we had to go straight down. But all I could see was tuna fish and lettuce and some cucumbers and carrots, raw carrots. They didn't have any broccoli. So when I got the best of the...
and organic, sometimes you can't get organic, but
No,
you know
you
what?
can't.
But it's better to eat non-organic if that's all you can find than to eat pizza.
And so I would make myself a tuna fish salad right there. And we'd get, once they had Brussels sprouts. I couldn't believe it. They made some kind of roasted Brussels sprouts. But we made do. They had fruit there. Was it organic? We didn't know that it was organic. It probably wasn't. But we had to eat fruit for our second serving of fruit. And we'd have to sit by his bedside. And we didn't know what direction it was going to go. We were in the fight for the saving of his eye and infection, because infection can go into the brain. So our nerves were on end.
Yes.
And to want to go down there and just get me a cookie, just get me this, just get me... No. We like it said, try to catch it ahead of time. Proper planning prevents poor performance. We call it the 5 Ps. But the bottom line with that is also be prepared for when you're supposed to be eating. We could feel our stomachs emptying, because once you do flush your fat for good, you really are in tune with your digestion, absorption, and elimination. So when you finish digesting and it starts to leave your stomach cavity, you already know you start to get these hunger pains.
Yes.
Now, do you let it go really long? Not a good idea. So we would plan. Either she had to go down and, get me some food, or it's great when you have buddies working with you, because that way I don't have to tell her what to get me. I just say I need protein and carbs, not starches. Protein and carbohydrates, non-starchy ones. So, we would get the soy milk out of the barista that
They
was
had
down there.
unsweetened soy milk, which
So
was amazing.
we did that. We brought our peptides with us to put it in there. I don't think they had the organic coffee, but, let me tell you.
No, they didn't.
We needed the coffee. But we're just trying to tell you, when it comes time to
We went off-site, too, and got some food, too.
Yeah, we went to Whole Foods and
Yes,
got
we
some
did.
things. But the bottom line is, it shouldn't be an excuse for you to mess up. Because would it be an excuse for you to put very bad gasoline in your car unless you're stranded somewhere in the desert?
Especially
and all
if
they have
it's
is,
a Ferrari.
Yeah, I mean, whatever, a really nice
You can't put bad gas in a Ferrari.
Corvette or
Right,
whatever
Sam?
fine-tuned machine. But if you have options, you have to put what's right for your car so you don't mess up your car. But if you're in the desert and you got to get the hell out of there and you're all scared and it's in the dark, put whatever you can in there. But the bottom line is, we hear from people. Not too long ago, we heard from a dear friend of ours. Well, we were so hungry, we're traveling, and all they had was pizza for us. And I said, well, who got you the pizza? And she goes, well, I think it was, and she gave us a name. And I said, that woman should have known that you're not going to eat pizza and that you should have had some really nice choices there that would be good for you. Even a chicken
Fruit
salad.
and vegetables.
Fruit, vegetables, some chicken, some turkey.
Chicken's easy. You can get chicken anywhere.
Or turkey.
Yeah,
The turkey slices. And, what did we get the other day? We got pastrami and some soup. But just the pastrami, not the bread.
No bread,
and tons of mustard. 'cause
And
I love mustard.
when you're in stressful times, the greatest thing, which I brought with us every day, was the goat yogurt and nuts. Keep your refrigerator stocked with yogurt and nuts. Don't let that run out, because that is a great staple. You can travel with that. You don't have to refrigerate it. I bring one of those solid ice packs that you throw in, for a cooler or something.
Freezer. Yeah.
And I put it in a bag, in a canvas bag, and I just throw it in there, or a paper bag, and I throw it in there, and it stays. The yogurt stays fine, but at least it's something. And several days, I brought it home with me. I had so much other food.
Yeah, but look, the bottom line is there's no excuse not to
Right.
care for yourself.
Right.
And even though we were caring for my son, it was more important to not mess up than to go out of our way to try to make sure we could at least feed ourselves properly, because we needed the energy. 14 days driving 6 hours a day and sitting by his bedside up to 8-10 hours a day. We needed to make sure we nutritionalized ourselves properly. And we did bring our supplements, too.
Yeah, and do your best, because it takes practice. It takes planning. Proper planning prevents poor performance.
Right.
But, we're 30-year each vets doing this. So you want to, if you remember your parents and your grandparents, they all did this. They all brought their food with them. So, just learn to bring your own food, where you're traveling, traveling is stressful. You got to bring your own food.
Yeah.
And you can't find anything in the airport. So, just do your best, and you'll see. It'll get easier and easier and easier, and you'll feel so much better. And in our case, we were able to help Tucker, because we weren't cloudy, we weren't high on sugar,
bloated,
sick with our
tired.
gallbladders, weren't stressed
Right.
out from pizza and all that stuff. And we were 100% alert and on point for his doctors, for his nurse, for his care. So you want to be there for the people that need you.
Because it's about healthy body, healthy mind.
That's correct.
And that's why you never struggle with Flush Your Fat for Good. You have no more cravings. You sleep deep. You think sharper. You have better digestion, absorption, and elimination.
Mm-hmm.
You really, it's all about safe, rapid fat loss, but the quality of life and the ability to have endurance and to think quickly on your
Be sharp.
yeah,
You have to be sharp
'Cause
for your
we
loved
had to-
ones. Oh my God.
This was out of our league, talking with eye doctors and surgeons and
I mean, you know, you have to stop them from giving certain medication to, because every 12 hours you get a new nurse, so they don't read the chart, or they want to give them the medication that had him seeing people walking out of the walls. You know, it's like you can't do that.
he did have a few drugs that, you know, we need to make sure he shouldn't have that anymore. And so you need an advocate with you at all times.
Yes.
And we were 3 hours away all the time. But we made it, we did it, and we want to thank
And
you
we want to
again
thank
for all
you
those prayers,
for
you
your
guys.
support. Oh man, thank
Another
you.
great thing that happened, actually, the day of Tucker's
His
surgery,
yes.
1/11, which we prayed every single day at 11/11 for us to be able to publish our book that
And
we have
bring
written.
this to you.
We want to bring this around the world, and we finally accomplished it. And Dr. Vicky and I, along with Kathleen Powell, is our co-writer with us. And this is our book, Flush Your Fat for Good. It's
Be lean and healthy for life.
right. It's Waterside Productions, and on the back is our first endorsement, and it's by Bob Proctor. If you're familiar with him, Master Success Coach, and he was the teacher in The Secret. But when you look inside the book, what we're very excited about, outside of the fact that it's 60 years combined information of Dr. Vicky and my experience in nutrition and life, but we have a beautiful acknowledgement to Coach Jennifer Powell. She actually collects butterflies, and they're those monarchs, so we were happy and excited to put a butterfly in there for her.
She's our hostess for our Power 100 Heroes Call, which is Wednesday nights.
And we want you to be excited over our endorsements, because we are. So we have Kara Golden, who's the founder and CEO of Hint Water. We don't know if you guys know too much about Hint Water, but you should. It's amazing water with a hint of flavor, all natural, and she has all different kinds of flavor. We saw it in
fruit.
Whole Foods.
It's in Whole
It's
Foods,
everywhere.
and there's no sugar in it. There's no
Nope.
juice in it. It's just the hint of fruits in the water.
The essence.
And it's legal on Flush Your Fat for Good.
Yeah, and it's tremendous. So she gave us an endorsement. Don the Dragon Wilson. He's 11-time professional kickboxing world champion, European Martial Arts Hall of Famer, and action film actor. The reason why he loved our lifestyle and our book is because he lost 2 friends before, I believe, the age of 55 or 60, all to obesity. And you'll be able to read his endorsement, which it brings a tear to your eyes, because this is a man that's extremely famous. He does mentoring and all kinds of demonstrations all over the world. And his 2 best friends were obese, and they died because of that, not because of anything else.
I don't know if you know this, but the most popular sport in the world is martial arts.
Yeah.
More people do that than any sport.
We have Esther Wojcicki, who's the founder globalmoonshots.org. She's the founder Palo Alto High Media Arts Program. She has designed educational programs in California that is really making waves in the school system, and she's been thinking outside the box about this, and it's called globalmoonshots.org. You can check it out. We also have Dr. Spice Williams Crosby, MFS, MS, PhD, actress, stunt woman, martial artist. She doesn't do much. But she
was on one of our podcasts.
Yeah, and you guys will be able
to. Her twin sister.
She's out of control with, what do you call it, type A personality. She's anything she wants to accomplish.
So accomplished.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
But she's written a couple of books, and she is a vegan, so she read our book. And she and her husband, Gregory Crosby, who is a writer-producer of Hacksaw Ridge. He's also doing a couple of other scripts we're excited about. He is the grandson of Bing Crosby, and he's writing a movie on that one. So, and he too is a vegan. So we had a couple of vegans to support us in this endeavor, because our Flesh or Fat for Good is excellent if you go through how we teach you to do it. Big problem with vegans is they do way too much starch, and they're out of control with their balance of proteins.
And not enough protein most of the time.
The emeritus professor of biochemistry, Robert K. Murray, who we work diligently with, and we just adore this man. His nickname is Scotty, and we call him Scotty. And we adore this man, and he helped us so that we could be extremely accurate on the explanations of what we wanted to teach you about why glyconutrients, glyconutritionals, glyconutrients, glycoproteins, glycans are so essential for health, but also for fat loss, okay? Because you want cell-to-cell communication, cell-to-cell recognition. Bob Proctor, who we have studied for several years with. As I said, he's a master success coach, teacher in The Secret, but we have taken his matrix, which is a whole week-long intense boot camp of trying to figure out what you want, your dreams, and how to accomplish them. But also we studied with his paradigm shift courses. And that's what we teach with Flesh or Fat for Good, because all that you thought it was, it's not. And that's the title of our first chapter. And the bottom line is you have to know that whatever your paradigm is right now, how's that working for you? We want you to change your paradigm and see through different pair of glasses as to how your future can be starting now.
And we encourage you to take his courses if you see, the paradigm shift coming up. I think it's in April.
Yeah, I think we just got it.
Yep.
And last but not least is Halfdan Hussey. He is the co-founder and CEO of Cinequest Films. Cinequest, they are very big in Silicon Valley and all over the country as far as help me out here. It's the shows.
It's the largest film festival west of the Mississippi.
And the thing I love amongst all these endorsements is Halfdan's, because I'll read it to you. I have lived the FYF for Good Phase 2 lifestyle for some time, and it has had a profound effect on my health, energy, digestion, and physical capacity. This book gives you a way to live that is sustainable, easy to understand, and evolved. I like the fact that he understood that by eating this way, his energy is great, his digestion is excellent, and his physical capacity, he's feeling the strength in his muscles, and his skeletal structure is far greater than it was, because it increases lean muscle mass and bone density. And if 70 to 80% of your immune system is in your gut, and Flesh or Fat for Good targets digestion, absorption, and elimination, within a week, you already know something is happening to you.
You feel better.
Yeah. So we really want to encourage you to go to Amazon.com.
Yep. Or flesherfatforgood.com.
The Flesh or Fat for Good has it in the storefront, and we're giving away a free food combining chart. But also, if you go to Amazon, we also have it in the Kindle whatever it is, Kindle portion, Kindle ability, Kindle.
You always mangle my books.
I know.
She mangles my books.
Because I have to be able to.
I keep them
Oh
pristine.
my God, just read it.
There.
But
Bends it, bends the corners. if you're a college person, you don't do that. You don't bend anyway.
Really? I have all kinds of. I have earmarks, and then yellow is everywhere.
She folds the pages in threes. This is our book.
But let me say this.
This is our new book.
I know.
My goodness.
Amazon.com. Just type the name "Flush Your Fat for Good" in the search window. Or you can designate.
It'll come up Flush Your Fat too, I think. But do the whole number 4 good.
I happen to love the cover because it shows that you can eat yourself thin, okay? Now, we recommend supplements. They're all in here. And we have so much references. I mean, it's going to drive you crazy.
You just won't believe what's in here.
Yeah.
This is the wise. This is what we are calling the Bible. And from this, we'll probably write small books, produce some small books on certain subjects. But this is going to be our reference. This is going to be in your library.
I want to go very quickly that flushyourfatforgood.com is our website. We have starter kits where you can go into the storefront for starter kit number 1. With the CLA and GLA supplements and all the charts and our workbook. Get started ASAP. You can have a digital download or have the book sent to you. Starter kit number 2 is everything without the CLA, GLA. We have a coaching course that we combine 60 years information together in a 7-module coaching course.
And a lot of that is not... It's application of this, but there's things in the coaching course that are not in here too.
Right. It's
it's
all about
clinical.
education because education is power.
Yes.
And to feel powerful within your life and to have your habitual ritual to the point where you know what you're doing so that everything else is more important to you once you understand what you're doing. You shouldn't have to have 3 different sizes of clothes in your closet. All in the color of black and gray.
Yes.
No, but that's because I like gray.
Hey, listen, you guys, if you want to, we want to urge you to get the book and try this for 2 months. Try it for 2 months.
Even though it's a lifestyle.
And
just give yourself the
give
opportunity.
Give it 2 months. You'll enjoy this. There's so much. It'll teach you how to buy food, how to read labels, why you're eating this, why you're eating that, why you don't want to eat this, why you don't want to eat that. And if you just get the book, you'll be able to read it. It's very educational. There's things in here that nobody knows, and I believe, and we've seen, that is the reason why people's health are out of control, because they don't know. So we want you to do that, and then we want you to try to go into your Facebook page and ask to join
our Facebook page.
Flush Your Fat for Good Buddies private Facebook room. And you request to join, we'll see your request, and then we can add you.
And we want to thank you for joining us. A Happy New Year to all of you. And again, God bless you all for donating and sending prayers to my son, Tucker. Goodbye.
Happy New Year, too. Take care.
You're listening to Flush Your Fat for Good with Jackie and Dr. Vicky, only on LA Talk Radio.